Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cohesion Through Chaos. I am Dale, and I am here outside. It is actually warm enough today to be able to record outside. So that is very exciting. So you've seen me read from various books and tarot cards and, you know, just speak from the wisdom of like what I've learned over the years of my life. But today I am going to read to you one of my favorite Bible stories. Okay. It's from the book of Job. And I think in this modern world, it's very easy to lose yourself in judgment based on like these sort of stereotypes that we have of people. And so I tend to think that if people just look at me and judge me based on my looks, they would think that, and because people have told me this before, that I'm like evil and Satan and they wouldn't wish me upon their worst enemy. And all kinds of things like that, and that I don't believe in God at all, and it's like, um, no, I think that you're confused about who I am and who like, what God means in this world to you, that it's not just a church, it's not just a label, it's not just a, like, sect of Christianity, and I think that what I'm here for is to drop all of these judgments and stigmas and things that don't go together. I mean, just even in, like, my style and the way that I dress and the way that I like decorate my home and the music that I listen to, it's this huge collaboration of all these different things that speak to me from the same frequency. So it has nothing to do with what it looks like on the outside or sounds like on the outside. It has to do with what is the frequency of that thing. And that's what I do is like I find that common frequency, and it's like from all these different sources um that people wouldn't normally combine together. And so that kind of kept me as an outsider through my whole life, where I wasn't necessarily a nerd, as people would say. I don't think people would describe me as like a nerd, but they might describe me as like weird. I was kind of friends with everybody, acquaintances with everybody, but nobody could really meet me where I was at. So they would just meet like certain parts of me, or I would just be certain parts of myself. It's not that I'm being dishonest or um, that I'm like covering up who I am. It's that I know that people can only accept me for certain dimensions of who I am, right? There's like, this is a stone and there's lots of different dimensions on it. Okay. Um, but not everybody is like that. Some people are just like two-dimensional. Some people are like three-dimensional, whatever. It's like, I feel like I can vibe with anybody because I feel like I have a place of understanding for everybody within my heart. And I don't know how you could have unconditional love um, and be more like Jesus if you don't have that. Okay, so any church or any group that you go into that doesn't accept you for one reason or another, to me, that is not what Jesus wanted. That is not like, or any of these like spiritual authority figures that we know throughout history because of their myth or their story or their whatever. I don't think that it's ever about rejecting people and saying that they have to follow certain rules. The only rule is to accept everybody. Okay. So let me pause it. Hang on. So, for example, it's 3:33 on the timer. I can think of that as like a Jesus number. I have a Salem shirt on, okay? And my daughters found it when we were out thrifting. And because you can find so many cool things, and a lot of the things that have value, you can find things of value when you're not just always looking to the modern world for them, okay? Because there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's an illusion that, like, what is Timu's thing? Shop like a billionaire? That's like not how billionaires would shop, okay? So they're manipulating you and they're convincing you that if you can buy a lot of things at a cheap price, then you can make it seem like you're a billionaire. People don't get to be billionaires because of what they buy. They get to be billionaires because of what they build, okay? And it just depends what foundation they're building it on, how long it's going to stabilize their lives or build their lives. Um, and so there's a lot of like greedy people out there in this world that are still going to make their money. They're still going to get through this life without having to like um I don't know, you know how people say like that's karma. They don't necessarily have to get that karma in a lifetime, but they might pass negative karma on to their like children, okay? This is just how these things work. So anyway, um I think that people think of witches as bad people, and it's the same as anything. It's that the label or the object does not determine if somebody is good or bad. Like, think of all the people that you work with. Think of all the people, if you do go to a church, if you are part of an organization, think of all the people inside of that organization. Just because there are rules and like this umbrella that says that all the people within this organization believe these same things, trust me, that is not how it goes. Everybody's got different like a different filtration system of which things like enter their ears and leave out of their mouth, you know? It's like, yeah, we all have different meanings for things, and the way that we act them out in this world is they're just we're not consistent, okay? Because we don't feel safe in our consistency because we feel like we're going to be seen as an outsider. All right, hold on. Okay, a train was just going by because those are the tracks right there. Can you see them? There's like they're 3 layers deep, so you don't get to see them all from right there. But it usually doesn't pick up on the microphone, but still, it's like it'll rattle my brain because it's so loud. So what I wanted to say about this concept of like witches, that I think witches are always seen as bad, and I don't think that that is really um what the concept of like what a traditional witch is. And I don't claim to be one or to be anything really. I'm just like here learning about life, okay? And when things make me feel uncomfortable in life, it's because it's not in the highest alignment with what I know is right when it comes to unconditional love. Okay? So that is like how I decide what feels good to me and what doesn't. And I was raised in the Christian church, Protestant church. My father was a Catholic, but my mother was Protestant. My mother was the one who would take us to church, right? And I did not like the feelings within the building. I didn't like how regularly human people were who were in there because I could always sense everybody's like truth and energy. And I didn't like it. I have the same last name as my mother and my sister, who we would all go to church together, and they knew so little about me in that church. They would pronounce my last name differently than my mother's and my sister's, even though it's the same last name. That's how little they like drew me in and, made me feel like comfortable. I always felt like I was an outsider. So I wanted to like talk about witches because I do think that what they are is like natural healers, and that's it. They have this awareness of the earth and um, what plants are healing and what are not, and things like that. And I think that the witches are seen as dark historically, but it was like the people who is worse in their heart, a witch who that is called a witch because she knows natural healing arts, or the people who were like going to them to do to cast like darkness, to use their powers for darkness or deceit or whatever. It's like, or like the people who were rallying them all up to burn them at the stake. Who do you think has a purer heart? The one who is the healer or the one who is the crucifier? Right? I just think that we listen to like um the Hollywood version of things, the sort of like stereotype of how it's designed, right? Because who do you think made witches look the way that they do? I'm pretty sure it's the people who were like didn't like them or saw them as the bad guy, who kind of like broadcast their persona. Because as far as I know, they're not all out there, or they weren't all out there like making commercials and talking about what they were good at. So anyway, I have some friends who are Jehovah's Witnesses, and I asked them to come over and give my children or teach the story of Job. So if you don't know it, it's in the Bible. It's spelled Job like job, but it's Job. And because I want them, even though they completely trust me and believe in me, and this, we've been on a very hard path in life, that the people around us that have like caused it have not had to go through like the daily drudgery of what it's like to always choose the high ground, the moral high ground, no matter like what is going on around me. Okay. So I want to read this story. I'm going to cut this video out now and then I'll start another video for the story of Job. Okay. And I am reading from this Bible, which was my daughter actually asked for it. From her father. We are not together. But she was like, "Do you think it would be okay if I asked Dad for a Bible?" I was like, "I certainly think so. I don't know why anybody like would not want to let their child have a Bible." So this is her birthday gift. So I'm reading from this one because it's specifically an NIV Bible for teen girls. Okay. So I think what that means is teen girls is like when we're in a phase of life where we are swimming in these emotions and trying to construct an identity um, on our outside that's consistent with who we are on the inside. Okay. It's a very confusing time. So I think that there's like passages in here and things that might be helpful for all of us because I think we all have a little teenage girl inside of us, no matter what your gender. Okay. So I love you. I'll be checking right back in with the story of Job.